Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm excited to be doing a trying new makeup. I have a lot of these to do. There's a ton of products, tons of cheek products, but today I want to do the Kylie Cosmetics new revamp. I want to focus in on that because a lot of you had asked me about this on Instagram specifically. I was sort of shocked. So I picked up a lip duo, so a liner and a lipstick, a highlighter, a bronzer, and a blush. I have tried the previous formula so I can give you my thoughts. I decluttered some of them. I have a couple blushes left so I can sort of show you those and maybe compare them. Also thought I would do a tutorial on the look I was wearing in my last video, which was the Will I Buy It. I got so many requests for that look. I used the Scott Barnes palette. This is his Natural palette, and I've been playing around with it, and a lot of you guys requested that look. So I'm going to be using this palette to do a similar look. It's one of those things when I do my looks, I don't plan them out or really even remember what I did. So I'll just do something similar, try to recreate my own look. Is anyone else like that? I can't remember. Like, I can look in here and be like, I think I used that shade, but I have no idea what I did. So I'll just, you know, wing it. I also have this new Tarte foundation. I'm nervous about this. This is their Amazonian Clay 16-hour full coverage foundation. I bought the mini size from Sephora. This is supposed to be like reformulated. The reviews on this are rough, honey. So I'm like, oh, I'm a little nervous about that. I also got a deluxe sample of this new Velour Pretty Big Deal Peptide Tubing Mascara. Tried it the other day and I did not like it, so I'm like, shit, I'll just demo it for you if you were interested. I've also been trying out the new Patrick Ta Major Brow Lamination Gel. I'm gonna demo this. I've been trying it maybe 3 or 4 times, so I'll give you my thoughts. And then for skin, I picked up this product that I've been seeing on TikTok and even on Instagram, and I've tried the original, but I don't know if I've tried the light. This is from a brand called Embryolisse, and this is their basically hydrator or moisturizer. So I picked up both of them. I got the Hydra Cream, so I got the normal and the light. I'm gonna use the light today just to see how it goes because I am oilier in my T-zone. Also have these Milani Glow Drops. This is just a radiance serum, so I thought that we would sort of use both of these and see what happens because the Tarte foundation is very matte to my understanding. And if you saw my Will I Buy It, I touched on the Sonia G brushes. There's the new Lotus set, which is right here, and then also, I can't remember the name of this, but I'll link it down below. I mentioned how I picked these up from Beautylish. These are very expensive, but some of my best brushes are Sonia G. I love BK Beauty now too. BK Beauty are synthetic, Sonia G are natural, so they're different. So I'm gonna use these today and we'll see how they work, see if I have any standout brushes as well. So that's about everything. I think I might throw in some other things, you know how I do, depending on how the look turns out, but I hope you guys enjoyed this. I will link everything down below. If there's any new makeup you want me to try out, please leave a comment and thumbs it up down below. So if you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy these. It really helps my channel out, and let's go ahead and begin. All right, I've got you zoomed in. We're gonna start on the eyes. I'm gonna do the look that I did for my Will I Buy It. I'm gonna basically try to recreate it. I honestly, it's so funny. I think it's because I try so much different stuff. Sometimes I look at a photo and I'm like, what shades did I use? What like eyeliner did I use? I try to remember. These shadows, I'm just gonna kind of wing it. So I'm gonna be using the Scott Barnes Natural palette. I bought this when it came out and I wanna say I maybe used it once on my channel or I maybe didn't. I think it was maybe a time when there was so much new, it just never, I don't know, I never used it. It's so hard to keep up. Like right now, there are so many cream bronzers and blushes, literally so many that I'm like, how am I gonna do these videos? Because of course I don't want to do like a whole trying new makeup with just bronzer and blush. So I'm trying to balance it out and make sure I have like foundation, concealer, eyeshadow palettes. So right now we're in the blush and the bronzer era. This is a really beautiful neutral palette and I like it because you can go cool, very smoky gunmetal, or you can keep it warm, bronzy. And I think it has a nice array of colors. It's very inclusive, meaning that anybody could use this. There's so many deep shades in here. There's not just 50 Shades of Beige is what I like to say. So I believe I started off mixing retro with Foxy. Foxy's a little bit deep for me personally as a transition. So I kind of mixed them to get the best of both worlds. So I started out just basically applying this to the crease as a transition shade. Lately I've been doing basically like a bare lower lash line and it's so funny. Like when you watch yourself on film, I was getting bored of my own self. I do that a lot. Like I get bored. I'm like, ugh, like feel like I always look the same, even though I try to switch it up, like I really do. But when I'm filming like a Sephora haul or favorites or something, I tend to just do like what makeup works for me. And I was noticing that I just kept doing the same look with, you know, the half wing, nothing on the lower lash line. And I was like bored of myself. So I played around with this, added a little bit of like shimmer on my lid, and then did a smoky lower lash line, and I got so many compliments. I was kind of surprised. Plus my makeup always turns out better when I don't film it. I think that's just like a YouTube thing, because when you're filming it, you're trying to explain and you're trying to stay in focus, trying to make sure you're in the frame. And a lot of times when you do it alone, you don't have all of those thoughts. You're just like right up in your mirror doing everything. So I want to tell you guys, I have not forgotten about the Q&A video, because I asked you guys on Instagram and my community tab to ask me questions. I tried to film it 3 days in a row. I touched on this in another video, and I was having like shortness of breath. Like I feel like I was having like a panic attack, and I realized that it was the Q&A that was like subconsciously, I guess, stressing me out. And I just want to touch on it very quickly. Like some of the questions were just making me feel, I think subconsciously, I'm just being very transparent right now, that I wasn't doing enough, and it like made me feel bad. And it's not your guys' fault, because I know you guys were just excited and like want to see me do well. Like some of the questions, are you gonna have kids? And right now I'm just not ready, and I'm definitely feeling the pressure because, you know, I'm 33, my husband's 34, but I'm like really focused on my career and also just getting my mental health in check. I know a lot of you have been sort of noticing a change in me, and it's because I'm on a medication that's working for me now, finally, after years of struggling. But I've only been on the medication for a few months now, and I really just want to get myself together before I start thinking about having a kid, because as we all know, postpartum can happen. It's very real, and that scares me. I'm just not ready, and I just feel like maybe that triggered me a little bit. And then also, like, are you gonna come out with your own brand? I would love to someday, but I just don't have the capital to do what I want, and I would never want to come out with something that I wasn't 100% proud of. Like, let's say Desi Skin or Forever Mood or Lunar Beauty. Like, that's what I think of, like Vive. That's the kind of brand I would want to come out with. I'm not financially there, you know. I feel very lucky to have my job and support myself doing this job, but I'm definitely not there. When you think about like people that have, you know, these really great brands, you know, you've got Manny MUA, Jackie Aina, Desi Perkins. These are huge influencers. They have a lot of money. They have millions of subscribers, and it's even hard for someone like that to do it. I know even Jaclyn Hill, who is obviously wealthy, Morphe is somewhat involved in her line. And I don't want to just come out with something, you know, half-assed just to say like, well, I did my own thing. So for me, that's why I haven't started my own brand. I just don't see that happening anytime soon. And that's like totally okay. I'm okay with where I'm at now. I'm very proud and just doing my thing on here. And I feel like very connected to you guys. I love reviewing stuff. I love getting your DMs that you bought something and you loved it, or just like sending me selfies with makeup that I recommended. You guys are so freaking beautiful and just inspire me every day, and that's enough for me right now. And I got another question about a brand collab, and I wanted to touch on that really quickly. I'm gonna take a little bit of this brick house while I answer this question. I know this isn't the Q&A, but I just had to get it off my chest because I've had a couple comments and I'm totally not ignoring you guys. So I was asked if I was going to do a brand collaboration, and again, I think the kids, the owning a brand, the brand collaboration, I think just all of those questions made me feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing any of those things. I'm not doing anything exciting, and it made me feel like a little bit like, oh, I should be doing more. But I wanted to touch on this, and I'm not gonna say brand names, but if I did a brand collaboration, it has to be authentic. It has to be something that I created, like what Raw Beauty Christy did with ColourPop or with Pure Cosmetics, something like that. And I can tell you that I've gotten more of the, hey, do you want to do a brush set kind of thing? And it's like, I'm an affiliate with another company, so that didn't make sense. So for me, it was like, no, that would not be just organic. And that's just, to me, it just felt like, hey, slap your name on it, sell it to your subs, and I just wasn't interested. And then another instance, you know, do you want to pick 3 of our products and bundle them? I've never even tried this brand. I've never even gotten PR. I've never purchased from this brand. And they want me to choose 3 of my favorites, which I've never tried. and then say it's my collaboration and then sell it. I just, to me, it's just very inauthentic for me personally. And that's not the kind of like collab I want to do. I want to make products. Like I want to make colors and textures and formulas that are true to me that you guys would love. And I just haven't had the opportunity that I felt was right. You know, I don't have millions of subs, so like ColourPop ain't calling me right now, you know what I mean? If I ever do get to do a brand collab, like it'll be super exciting and hopefully one day in my career, but I don't want to rush it and I don't want to do a collab just to say I did a collab kind of thing. So hopefully that cleared it up, but I think those questions like really stressed me out. And I don't know why, because I'm an open book, but I think I felt so negative because I was like, no, I'm not having kids right now. No, I'm not starting my own brand. No, I'm not doing a brand collab. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing anything. But you know what? I'm doing exactly what's okay for me right now, which is reviewing makeup, connecting with you guys, sharing my life, and I get to, you know, do my dream job. And that's enough for me right now. So I hope that makes sense, but I'm just doing my best over here. Hopefully you guys are enjoying my content, and if those things come in the future, like I would love that. But for right now, I'm just, you know, doing me. Okay, I just had to get that off my chest. I've gotten some comments and DMs like, can't wait for your Q&A, and I'm totally not blowing you guys off. I have all of the questions saved, but I just wanted to like kind of touch on why I haven't done it yet. So I'm gonna go in next to the shade Muted up here. This is just like a light matte color, and I'm just gonna blend the edges up here. The one thing I have noticed about this palette is a little bit of grabbing and sticking. I don't know if you can see like right in there. I've noticed it. It's not like crazy, but I do notice it with some of those deeper browns. So I kind of have to really like, I don't know if you can see like right in here, trying to like blend it up, and it just seems to want to like stick in certain areas a little bit. I've created some really nice looks with this palette, but I have just noticed that I have to like blend, and sometimes I just can't get it to budge. Like right here. Okay, so the next step is actually to do a winged liner. I'm gonna use my KVD tattoo liner in Trooper, and I do the same wing that I've been doing, which is essentially just halfway in. I feel like it really opens up my eye. I feel like there's a hair like on my nose, but I really like this liner because it's just really easy to use. It's a brush tip. It's just one of my favorites, and I did use black. And don't worry if your eyeshadow gets out too much because we're just gonna clean it up. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my wing right now. Okay, so I have my wings done, but I haven't cleaned up underneath yet. I want to go back into the palette into this shade called Hollywood. This is the beautiful bronzy shade that was on my lid. I sort of sweep this through the crease a little bit lightly and then dust it on the lid so I don't pack it on heavily. So I'm going to use this Sonia G worker brush. This is from that Lotus set, and I just used it dry, and I'm just going to pick up some of the product here, and I sort of just did something like this. So I very lightly applied it to the lid and then just swept it through the crease. I've been enjoying more looks like this. I don't really like a really intense shimmer on my lid most of the time. So I found that pulling it into the crease a little bit is more my speed. Next, I'm just going to take a wet wipe and basically clean up any of the shadow, sharpen up my wing. That's why it really doesn't matter if you get your eyeshadow really like pulled out, because once you clean it up, it's fine. So I've curled my lashes and I'm going to apply some mascara. I want to try this out on camera, but I'm not having the best luck when I tried it the other day. This is a deluxe sample I got in a Sephora order, the Velour Pretty Big Deal Peptide and Tubing Mascara. This just didn't really do anything. It did lengthen, I guess, a little bit, but it felt like I had to put on like a ton of it. It's just like nothing's coming off, like very little. So this is like my third dip in, and you can see you're starting to see some length. I'm gonna dip in one more time. Now I know that the full size can definitely be different, but whenever I can get a sample with an order, I always try to. I'm actually going to take a little bit of my Lily Lashes Triple X mascara just because I really want to get some volume, especially in this front area. We're going to put on outer corner falsies. So for lashes, I was wearing one of my favorite styles of lashes ever, and I just cut like the outer corner. These are from Too Faced, and they're called the Sex Kitten lashes. I bought like 6 packs of these because I love them so much. And I basically just cut off most of it and only used just like a couple little kind of flares on the outer corner. So let me cut these first. So I basically cut them like this, and I just put them on the outer corner, and they give me that really nice flare. All right, so we've got lashes on. I want to move on to the base. I want to use this Embryo Lease. This is the Hydro Cream Light. So I used to use the original, and a lot of people love it, like makeup artists, and somehow I lost it in my collection. And recently I've been seeing more people recommend it. So I picked up the light version and also the regular. The light version is for normal to combo skin. I got this on Beautylish. It's a pretty thick sort of texture when you pump it out, but it has more of a gel-like feel on the skin, so I can definitely feel it's different than the original just because it has more of that light gel consistency. I'll be curious to see how I like this light version. Okay, it does have a scent actually. I thought it was unscented, but I am smelling a fragrance. It's very light, but still sort of a floral fragrance, which I don't love. Also gonna take a little bit of my banana eye cream. Just put this under my eyes. Okay, my face is stinging. That's not a good sign. I'm sort of freaked out, to be honest. I think I'm gonna remove this because I'm like burning. My skin is like stinging. That is so weird. Wow. I'm a little bit like, what? Just because I never remember it burning in the past. Probably could be because I have some breakouts from that time of the month. But now I'm nervous to use this again. I just bought this. Has anybody tried? I felt like this was just sort of a basic, you know, moisturizer. I've seen so many people recommend it, and that just burned my skin or made me like tingly and irritated. So that was really weird. I don't know what happened there, but I'll have to maybe patch test it at another time. I'm gonna go in with this Dominique Cosmetics Jadey Wadey. This is the Ultra Hydrating Complexion Primer. I like this really just for hydrating. I'm a little nervous though because my skin just feels a little irritated right now. This is just a really moisturizing, I guess it's a primer, but I'll use it more as a moisturizer. This is not stinging my skin. That was really weird. I don't have reactions very often, so that was just not expected. So I'm a little nervous now, but I'm gonna try out these Milani Glow Drops. These are the Radiance Boosting Serum Drops with coconut water and electrolyte. It's basically supposed to give you a glow. So it says apply 1 to 2 pumps. They just sent this over in a PR package. So this is what it looks like. It's pretty thick. Looks like it has a nice radiance to it. I'm gonna keep this on the perimeters of my face because it feeling it, it reminds me of the Glossier Oil and Serum, if you've ever tried that. Very hydrating. Ooh, it smells good, like coconut too. I would not put this on my T-zone just because I can feel it's like really hydrating. I like the way it feels. I feel like if you have dry skin, you might like this a lot. Okay, so lately I've been trying a new technique just because I've been really oily in my T-zone, and I felt like I just looked like I had a lot of texture. I've been omitting a blurring primer and just using a setting powder very lightly in my T-zone area. So I'm gonna go in with my Huda Beauty one. I feel like my skin just looks a little bit more natural, maybe because I'm not layering so many primers. So I just take some like very minimal amount and I sort of just sweep over my pore area. Also go on my chin, but I do very minimal powder. I do feel like it's helping with oiliness, and I don't know, looking a little bit more natural. And then before we go in with this foundation, I'm gonna take this NARS Radiant Creamy Corrector in light. I just am finishing up that time of the month, and of course, I never learn, and I picked and made all of these worse, so that's fun. It's like when you see a little blemish, or even just like it looks like a whitehead, and you're like, okay, I can get that out, and then you make a bigger mess. So now let's try out this new foundation, or this reformulated foundation. My understanding is they reformulated it. This is the Tarte Amazonian Clay 16-hour full coverage foundation. I have the shade medium sand. I just got a mini size. Full coverage, matte finish. It also says it has a mousse-like texture, but I have to say the reviews are not good on this, like really bad. And the reviews that I'm seeing are basically that it's very fragranced, the shade is off, it's looking really cakey. I never really loved the original. It's very clay-like. I can actually see, like on my hand, it almost looks like clay to powder. I'm gonna try it with this sponge. Yeah, it's like very whipped, and the shade is light. Okay. I thought medium sand would work, but we're just gonna have to go with it. So it is definitely that clay texture. It's reminding me of that Smashbox full coverage foundation that comes in that tube. A lot of the reviews were saying that it transfers too. So being that they said that it was like, you know, 16-hour wear, people were wearing masks saying that it transferred like all off their face when they had a mask on. Also, I am noticing the fragrance. It's not as strong as I thought it might be just from a couple of the reviews, but I definitely notice it. So this is what the Tarte foundation is looking like. It is definitely a whipped moussey texture, 100%. It is full coverage. I really didn't have to build it. It just covered everything. I don't feel like it looks heavy right now, but we'll see how it does when I set it. It's definitely matte though, so I feel like you really want to prep your skin, and also if you're dry, I think you probably want to run away from this. But I feel like it looks okay so far. We'll see how it goes. I do feel like it's one of those that is not going to set down because of that moussey texture. It's not really going to lock in, and I could see it transferring. So I'm going to go ahead and go in with my Lancome Tint Idole concealer. I'm still testing this out, but I'm really liking it. This is in the shade Buff Neutral. So I am going to set my under eyes with my Huda Beauty Pound Cake, a really nice powder that I like to set my under eyes in my T-zone. Just really smooths everything out. So I like to sort of press in. I don't really let the powder like sit and bake, but I do use quite a bit and just push it in to the skin. I just find that it helps lock things down, especially because it's hot. I want to go in next with the new Patrick Ta Lamination Brow Gel. So I picked this up from Sephora. The packaging is super sleek, like all of his products. And then inside you get a little brush. It's a clear brow gel, and it's supposed to give you the look of laminated brows. So I've been using it, and I like the ease of it in the sense that you don't have to get a spoolie out, but I'll go ahead and demo it for you. It's a little bit of a learning curve, I would say, just because it has almost like a really small window to really get the brows stuck down. So I brush it through my brows, and then I like really push them against my skin. And I have noticed a little bit of flaking. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start applying it. And then I think a key step is to take really anything, a brush, or I'm just using this Benefit and really pushing those brow hairs down. I do this with all of the brow like lamination things, any sort of brow gel. It's very easy to use because, like I said, you don't have to have a spoolie or a brush, you just dip in, but you definitely want to take something and push your brows up. And I mean, they're crunchy. Like when I try to go through here, there's like, it's crunchy. So overall I've had a good experience with it, but I don't know if it's gonna become my new favorite. I'll just have to keep playing with it. Brows are done, and I wanna move on to the Kylie Cosmetics complexion products before we finish off the eyes and the lips. I am noticing that I'm getting really dry and almost like every little pore is showing on my chin, so that's fun. Maybe that's what people were talking about with this foundation, so we'll see what happens, but I feel like everywhere else looks okay, but down here I'm noticing some dryness. So now I want to go in with the pressed bronzing powder from Kylie Cosmetics. So essentially she said she reformulated, repackaged everything, and the packaging is different. Now I don't have any of the bronzers anymore from her old, you know, original collection, but I know the packaging is different because this is thicker and square, whereas the old one was rectangle and thinner. So definitely a little bit different, but again, it looks very similar. I picked up the shade Toasty. It was kind of hard to tell. Toasty looks a little bit cool and a little bit deep for me, but I feel like we should be able to make it work. So I was gonna use one of the Sonia G brushes, but they all look a little bit too small. I wanna use something a little bit fluffier. This is a Chikuhodo cheek brush. There's a little bit of powder kick up in the pan, a little bit more than I think her original. But I want to see how this blends, how pigmented it is. You just kind of never know with the bronzer. So it seems like it's buildable. This is my third dip in, but I'm being very light. We're looking a little patchy. I think it's this foundation, which we'll have to see, but the reviews were not good on it, which had me a little worried. I was actually gonna use the M Cosmetics cream blush and bronzer sticks because this is like a matte clay foundation. I didn't want to try to put super hydrating cream products on top. Plus you guys have been asking me about the Kylie, so I was like, well, let me go with this Tarte. So I actually don't mind the bronzer tone. It's not as cool on the skin. It seems to be nice and buildable. It's not one that's like really intense and you can't blend it out. Something funky is going on with this foundation though, specifically on my cheeks. I'll zoom you in, but I feel like it's lifting and it shouldn't be. It's just getting weird. Same thing around my chin area. So I really don't believe that it's the Kylie bronzer. I think it is the foundation. So let me zoom you in. So I don't know if you can see right here. I turned my lights down. It's like patchy. It just looks like it's grabbing and skipping, which, I mean, powders usually don't do. So next I want to try the blush. So I have the pressed powder blush. I got Baddie on the Block because I already owned Winter Kissed and Pink Power. So these were the original. And the one thing about these is they really had no powder kick up in the pan. This is more of a cool toned pink. And then I also had this really light color Pink Power. This is probably one of my favorite products from her line in general, but I'm interested to try the new formula. So you can see packaging wise, the new formula is square and thicker. So same kind of situation. And I didn't want to get the same shade just because I already own the two. So this is the color I got, which is called Baddie on the Block. This one feels creamier, like softer. I am going to use the cheek brush from the Lotus set. Looks a little more powdery for sure. And I'm going to keep this back, sort of pull it up here. It just feels creamier when you touch it as well. Like not as hard pressed, I guess. Almost looks like it has a little bit of like a satin finish to it. There's no glitter. When you look at it in the pan, it looks matte. So I feel like it's pretty. I don't know if I'm wowed by the color. It could be the foundation as well. So I have to keep testing it out. I don't think the formula is bad. I just don't know if the color's wowing me. But I want to try out this new highlighter. I got the shade Ice Me Out. So the original ones were very hard pressed. I didn't like them at all. They almost created like a hard pan. This one seems to be more of like that baked gelée just upon looking at it. I haven't even swatched it yet. So it looks definitely more appealing. So let's feel it. Okay, so it looks like a baked gelée, like there's not kick up. Well, maybe a little bit, but it does feel like a powder. It's like a hybrid. So I'm gonna use the Sonia G detail brush. I don't have a brush like this in my collection. It was one of those that really made me wanna buy it. So let's try this out. So it definitely has some powder kick up. It's not like the Dior. It looks like a baked gelée sort of, but when you put your brush in, there's definitely like a powder kick up. So I'm just going to use this brush to really buff into the skin. Okay, so this seems to be like a softer formula, which I actually like. Not like a stripe on your face. It is enhancing my texture though, like quite a bit right here. I do think it's enhancing my texture just a little bit, which I'm kind of like, ooh, I don't know if I like. Just like right here, little bumps I have, I usually can't see those. And I feel like I can see them pretty intensely. I'm gonna try it down the center of my nose. Okay, so now I want to finish off the eyes, and this is something I usually don't do. I typically keep my lower lash line blank, but this day I did really smoky and everybody loved it. So I'm going to go in and take the shade Brick House, and I'm going to mix it in with Wadey, which is right here. I'm going to use a really small brush, and I'm going to basically just go really tight up under my lower lash line, pretty much all the way through. So from that Sonia G set, I'm going to take the Soft Definer. I don't think I've ever tried this brush. And I'm going to go in and mix Foxy and Wadey. Just kind of smoke out what we just laid down. And I do have a little bit of fallout. And then I'm taking that original brush I used, and I'm going to go into Foxy, and I'm just going to smoke this out. So just really light pressure. Just really blow out this lower lash line. And for the waterline, I've been loving this Gucci pencil. I've been using it a lot. This is the shade 03 Chocolat. I just like that it's not harsh black. It's really comfortable in the waterline. So I'm gonna use that on the lower waterline and then also tight line. It's not like a standard pencil, so it doesn't tug. And then just to really smoke it out, I'm gonna mix Temptation with Sin, which are the darkest two colors, and almost touch right where my waterline is. Not in my waterline, but sort of blending that Gucci eyeliner over my lashes. I feel like that's a problem I have because I have like really light lashes. And to finish off the eyes, I'm gonna take that Kylie highlighter to the inner corner just to really make them pop. All right, so now we're moving on to lips, and we're gonna try out the new Kylie Cosmetics Matte Liquid Lipstick and Lip Liner Kit. I picked up the shade Angel 301. I just thought it looked really pretty, but I'm hoping that the lip liner is actually deeper than the lipstick. And now that I'm looking at my look, I'm like, is this going to match? So this is what the packaging looks like. Let's swatch this. It's a little bit more pink than I honestly like. Ooh, it looks darker than it did on her website. So I'm gonna go ahead and try it anyways, even though I don't know if the color is gonna look good. Okay, so it's definitely creamy. So the lip liner is creamy. It's not as creamy as a ColourPop, but it definitely is a little bit creamier than what I'm used to. But I'm gonna go in, again, the shade is Angel. Let me see if it has a scent. Maybe a faint scent, but nothing crazy. I just wish the lip liner wasn't so pink. I don't like this lip with this eye makeup either. So I've had the lipstick on for a couple minutes now. I can definitely feel a tack. Like it's sticky, which I don't love. It's pretty thin. I'm not noticing any like weird lines yet. I'll have to keep trying it out, but I'm like disappointed with the color. I thought it was gonna be more of like a baby pink, and it's not. So now I wanna go in on top with this peachy pink gloss from Kimchi Chic, just because I'm not loving this color with my eyes. This is insanely pigmented. You guys are probably like, what are you doing? I just wanna add a little bit of shine, but also just tone this down. I was expecting more of a color like this, but with a deeper lip liner. So I'm gonna take my nude number 4 from Nabla. I just feel like this isn't looking right. All right, guys, so here's my finished makeup look using all new products, and we had some flops. So let's go over that. I don't know what happened with this Embryolisse Hydra Cream Light, but it definitely burned my skin. I had some sort of reaction, and I've used the original years ago and never had that. a little bit weirded out by that just because it really was like stinging on my skin, especially like my lower, like my chin around where I was breaking out. Let me know if you've had that experience with this, because I feel like this is something that a lot of people recommend as just sort of like a gentle moisturizer, and it did not work for me today. I actually do really like this Milani Glow Drops. It does remind me of that Glossier Oil and Serum. It's just like that oily, really hydrated feel, but it's not heavy at all. I feel like this is something that dry skin people would really like. I would not put this in my T-zone just because I'm combo, but I feel like it really did a nice job at hydrating my face. I like the way it felt, but I'm curious to keep trying this out. I really like the feel of it. It was very hydrating, but not heavy. Not loving the Tarte Amazonian Clay Foundation, which the reviews were pretty bad. When I'm looking at my skin, it looks okay, but when you look up close, it's like settling into every pore on my chin, which is not really an issue for me. Just looking really dry, and people saying that it transfers. I'll have to update in the description box. I feel like this might be one, if you use it, that you don't set, or you just set like your under eyes, because it's just so whipped and clay-like. I feel like it's just too dry. So I just don't think it's going to become a favorite just because of the dryness, especially down here where I'm typically oily. It's just a little bit weird. Also, I really don't like this mascara. I feel like I'm being negative, but I assure you, I'm going to get to some stuff that I do like. I just think that this takes like 16 layers to get it to build up, and I don't think that it really does anything in terms of like fibers. I really thought it was going to make my lashes look big, and it just doesn't. I just don't like having to continually dip in and build up, and even after like 5 or 6 coats, it's really nothing special, so this is going to be a pass for me. I am enjoying the Scott Barnes palette so far. I know this is not brand new, but I don't believe that I've used it on my channel, and if it's been on my channel, it's been a long time ago, and a lot of you guys have been complimenting me when I've been wearing this. I think you really get beautiful shimmers in here. There's 4 that stand out. They're just so smooth and very highly pigmented. The mattes are very pigmented as well. Again, this is a very rich palette, so anybody could use it. I did notice a little bit of grabbing with or a little bit of sticking with the mattes as I showed you guys. So you just have to take your time blending them more, but I like the depth that I can get with this palette, and I'm enjoying it so far. Also still enjoying the Lancome concealer. I'll keep using it, but I think this is going to be a hit. It's just really easy, no fuss. It gives you a good medium to full coverage. It's a thin texture. It's not heavy. I don't find that it gets dry or cakey. It feels quite smoothing and just a little bit hydrating. So I feel like a lot of people would like this. A little bit goes a long way. So I think this is probably going to become a favorite for me. Now let's finish off with the Kylie Cosmetics. So first of all, I thought the bronzer was actually pretty nice. I feel like it blended nicely even over this foundation that seemed to lift. And maybe that is the transfer that everybody's talking about. This foundation, because it is so moussey, it feels like it's just going to slip and slide. Like it doesn't set down. I don't know how else to describe it, but I feel like this bronzer was nice and buildable. It looks a little bit deep in the pan, but it really did a nice job just, you know, bringing warmth to the skin. I felt like it was nice and buildable. It didn't stick down. It wasn't overly pigmented to the point where I felt like I touched my brush to my face and I couldn't move it. I do think that the lifting or the little bit of patching was really the foundation, so I'm interested to keep giving this a try. The tone is not as warm as I really like, but again, I found her website to be a little bit difficult to choose colors just because all the swatches online are the old formulation, and even on her Instagram, I couldn't find like swatches when I made this order. Am I getting butthole lips? Ugh, I am. Okay. Well, there you go. So this is, you know, I like it. I'm not like wowed, but I'm going to keep using it. The blush I thought was pretty. It was just as good as her old blushes. I did like her old blushes as well. The color, I felt like I really had to build it up. So I just added even more just to get me that like poppy cheek, because that's really what I prefer for me personally. I think out of anything in her old collection and the new one, the blush is just going to be the thing that I would recommend. I mean, it's pretty hard. This is sad, but it's pretty hard to fuck a blush up. You know what I mean? So I think it's a nice formula. It's just a matter of getting the shades that work for your skin tone. Now, in terms of the Kylie highlighter, I'm a little bit confused just because I feel like it's very natural. It can be built up, of course, but it gives you a more subdued I guess, look than I thought because of the swatches. They looked really intense, like the Baked Gelée, ABH Amrezy, Dior palette, stuff like that. It definitely looks like that, but it has that powder texture to it, and I think it just enhances your texture a little bit. So I could see like little bumps of just texture that I have that I really never notice because I have, you know, obviously texture everywhere, but really I notice it in my T-zone. So for me to notice it with a highlight is not something that happens a lot. So I was a little bit perplexed. Usually the really, really intense highlighters will accentuate things more, but the fact that this was more soft, but yet made my texture look a little bit more pronounced, I'm not sure about. It's okay. I mean, I'm not like wowed by it. Again, I really didn't think I would be, but it's an okay highlighter, but I prefer the Baked Gelée ones. And then in terms of the lip kit, I feel like I'm already getting that line, the dreaded butthole line, which that happens to me with a lot of matte lipsticks. One of my favorite matte lipstick formulas is actually the Scott Barnes one. They don't get that line as bad. I just like the way they feel. They're not sticky, and these definitely feel sticky to me. The lip liner is okay, a little bit more creamy than I like, but I just really don't like pink lip liners. I like more of a brown lip liner and then using like a pink in the center. And this color is a little bit deeper and more mauvey than I had anticipated. I think I would really like this color with more of a brown lip liner. So again, I just don't think I'm gonna love these. I'm not really surprised. Like, I feel like all the Kylie products, they're good, but they're not wowing me. There's nothing that I feel like is just like a standout formula. They're all just kind of like, yeah, they're okay, and that's kind of what I was expecting. And then in terms of the Sonia G brushes, the Lotus set is so beautiful. These are just such high quality brushes. They're gonna last me for years. This brush stands out to me the most because I don't have anything like it in my collection. This is the detail brush. I feel like you could use it to contour, you could do highlight like I did, you could do a soft blush, you could even contour your nose. This is just really unique, and I'm excited to keep playing with these. Of course, I want to play with these with products I know and love, like specifically base products, so I can keep testing them out. And then I will test out the other complexion set that I got just in videos to come, so I'll give you like a full review. But I really haven't been disappointed with many Sonia G brushes, so I don't anticipate not loving them. It's just sort of figuring out what brushes I like to use for what product. All right, guys, so that concludes this trying new makeup. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, even though we had a couple bumps along the way, but hopefully you got to see how I did my eye makeup because a lot of you were asking. So I will link all the products down below. If you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe. Let me know what you thought of everything and what you want me to try next. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.